An escalating row between Australia and France. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has hit back, saying Canberra will not accept slurs from France. This comes after President Emmanuel Macron had accused Mr Morrison of lying about a cancelled submarine deal. Australian media have published messages between the two leaders suggesting the French knew the contract was at risk.
A sunken submarine deal is what is still driving this wedge between Australia and France, with tensions between the two leaders now reaching a whole new point. Australian Prime Minister has hit out at what he has described as slurs and sledging against Australia by the French Prime Minister Emmanuel Macron. On the sidelines of the G20 summit in Rome on Sunday, French President Emmanuel Macron said that he knew Mr Morrison had lied to him about his intentions over the $90 billion submarine deal between the two countries. That was eventually scrapped when Australia signed a new defence deal with the United States and the United Kingdom. But Mr Morrison has insisted that he reached out to Mr Macron on multiple occasions to express his concerns that Australia had over the project. Mr Morrison, in response to being called a liar by the French president, was visibly agitated and hit back.
I must say that I think the statements that were made questioning Australia's integrity and the slurs that have been placed on Australia, not me, I've got broad shoulders, I can deal with that, but those slurs, I'm not going to cop sledging of Australia. I'm not going to cop that on behalf of other Australians. I can deal with whatever people throw at me, but Australia has a proud record when it comes to our defence capability. That's why we'll be building these.
But Macron's criticism was directed at the Prime Minister himself rather than Australia, and Mr Morrison has now been criticised for twisting Mr Macron's words to be against Australia rather than on him personally. This feud overall does have a very personal edge to it. Text messages that have been leaked revealed that Emmanuel Macron could have known that the submarine deal was going to be scrapped ahead of time, contradicting his version of events, Emmanuel Macron's, that he was blindsided by the announcement of the new deal with the United States and the United Kingdom. Mr Morrison's reputation and international stance has been damaged, though, by the French president's attack, and that is something that will be taken into consideration, considering that Australia is facing an election next year. So the question now is, can the relationship be repaired between Australia and France? And we may have more answers on that when the French ambassador to Australia addresses the country tomorrow. Danielle Robertson, CNA, Sydney.